Hello, hello, hello. How are you? Here we are, Sunday, March 10th, daylight savings time. Let me see. If we had to spring forward, then some people probably came in at 2 and said, "Where is she?" And today is my big packing day. Whoops, no, this way. Whoops, there's some of my stuff right there, all of that. And then I still have a few more things. And luckily, Mark stays here to take care of everything because that allows me to go and enjoy myself without being more stressed than I already am. So I'm looking forward to this. This retreat is to me a little more stress than enjoyment because I'm teaching a class. Now, I've taught this class to y'all last July, so I really shouldn't worry about it. But I tell you what, I went through all my notes and because I'm really good at writing everything down, and I went through all my notes. Then I also went and looked at the videos, the private videos that we made when we did the class in July. So I prepared about as much as I can. I'm just going to relax now and not worry about it because it is what it is. But I have to find the quilts too. So that'll happen after our show today. But anyway, I this whole week I've had a couple 4:30 a.m. going to sleep. Last night I came back to bed at 2:30 and laid there for 2 hours. So this morning I woke up ready to get ready for the show. It was already 12:30. I was like, "Oh no, how am I going to get ready in time with all I have to do?" But you know what? Mark and I ended up taking it a little bit slow, letting me wake up and get the cobwebs off before I had to instantly start getting ready. But oh goodness, let's see all who's here because this in a lot of ways has been a very good week, especially Thursday night. That was so exciting. It's not often that I holler out and applaud and uh, in my own living room. So, hi, Barbara Smith. Lisa, hi, darling. I was thinking of you earlier. Oh, because I was packing my phone holder to take with me to retreat. Every time I look at that, I think sweet thoughts of Miss Lisa. So let's see. Marcia, hi, Miss Marcia. You're so sweet. I love our Marcia. And let me see who else. Oh, this is so great. Debbie's here. Oh, Debbie, that was the most lovely note. That was so lovely. You have such good manners, girlfriend. So that is lovely. I'm hoping I said Barbara Smith. Joni, it was so wonderful to see you in the class videos again. And such a pretty lady, I tell you. So anyway, it was so good. Laura's here. Yay. Ah, Pat is here. Hi, Miss Pat. This is so good. And there is Joso. Hi, hon. Oh man, this is a great crowd. Michelle the quilter. Uh-oh, what's happening? What is happening? Oh, yes. Oh, I'm so sorry. Did she have a preemie? We'll be thinking of her, keeping her real close to our hearts. That is so hard to leave the hospital without a baby. I do know that. So we'll be thinking of her. And my son, my last child, was 2 weeks early, and because my placenta started pulling away because I lost a baby girl before that. But anyway, he was 2 weeks early, weighed 8 pounds, 3 ounces, which is small for me, for my babies. His lungs wouldn't stay open. So he had to be in the NICU in an isolate. And luckily, it was just for 24 hours, but that is so hard. So please let her know that she's got a lot of moms out there thinking of her at this time. Yes, I tell you what. Hi, Sonia. It is so good to see our Sonia. She has the cutest little talking sewing machine. I just love her little sewing machine. And let me tell you, she is an amazing quilt piecer. Just amazing. And the whole bit. She is just wonderful. So let's show you a few things. I have mostly been working on getting ready for this retreat and what activities I'm going to take. Now, this is a shortened, it's an abbreviated retreat, and it's a retreat that's happening a week early. So it's catching us all a little bit off guard. But I always make a gift for the hostess of the retreat because it's a lot of work and it's a lot of worry. I know I did it for about 8 years. It was a lot of work. So there was something I had wanted to try, which is I went and found a free pattern for flying geese, and then I put it in my Word program and I shrunk it very small because I was hoping that I could try to make a necklace for this. And you can get these, and it comes with glass inside, and you take it apart. This has some little thing here, I think, that allows you to take it apart. I guess you have, oh, let me see. I think you flip it up. Well, I'm not sure, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it be. But it would make a pendant. So I wanted to make flying geese that would go in the pendant. Well, when it came time that I had a few minutes to try to make some miniature flying geese, I couldn't find the pendant. So I ended up making her a um, I guess you could call it a bookmark. You could actually put a little string and make it a scissor fob. I'm a big believer in scissor fobs because when you go to retreats and things, how do you know that your scissors are your scissors and not someone else's? But anyway, so I made this for her. It was my first time doing miniature, and I dropped the stitch to like 1.4. And oh, thank you, Miss Laura. And so I dropped the stitch length real tiny, had my iron right there, and thank goodness for paper piecing. The only thing you're going to find though, when you drop your stitch length that short, it cuts right through your paper. So I had my little glue stick and I kept gluing the paper back on the next fabric because I needed that paper to let me know where to sew. Then I just took my floss and made a little tassel. So this is for dear Nancy. She's a dear heart. But I tell you what, I think it would be neat to make some of these pendants. And what you would want to do is make sure you pick some really dynamic colors because you're probably going to only get 3, maybe 4 of the flying geese in there. And I didn't want to make them smaller because I wanted them to fill up the side to side. But that's a neat idea. So I think it's going to be one of my future crafty things. And by using the paper piecing, so much easier. I wondered if I would have to do it by hand to get them small. But you know what? Paper piecing, it makes it work. So anyway, so that's for Miss Nancy when I go there. Then this week I was working. Okay, you see, let me show you my blocks. I've got now 4 blocks completed of my English paper piecing, which I love. And I'm almost done with my 5th one. And this one had a good number of pieces in it. I've got to tell you, if I ever do a complex quilt again, this is going to be my method of choice. I dearly love it. So, since I didn't have time to do any of my Redwork and stuff. I thought I might just sit, once we cover a few little things, I might sit and chat with you and um, share, just chat and work on that with you today. So it would be a nice and relaxing thing. So I was working on this and I thought, let me find what um, fabric line this is. So I looked it up and it is a Blake, but it's actually the woman JM Fabrics, who I'll see again this time. So I'm excited to see what she's got this time. She mixed a couple of the Riley Blake um fabric lines, and luckily I think they work beautifully together. But I was looking up one called Summer Cottage, I think it was. Just I thought, let me look online because I'm getting kind of concerned. My one of my yellows is getting a little low. I've got to do sashing, and the sashing I was going to use, let me pick this up again to show you. The sashing material that I had extra of is this one. And I thought, these are so bold. If I do this for sashing and border, it's going to be too much, just too much of a good thing. So I started looking around on the internet and found one of the coordinating fabrics, and it's this. And I think it's going to be wonderful with those. And this can be my sashing and maybe my binding. And then that way I have a little bit of a buffer between the, the bold blocks and that heavy turquoise. So I started looking and trying to find a good price. Well, if you're like me, you want a good yardage price. Also, especially when you're just going to buy one piece, you want good shipping prices. And I'm sad. I don't know about y'all, but I'm sad that shipping has gone up so much. I mean, I go to the post office and it's like, you've got to be kidding me. And but what do I know? You know, but they first told us that prices would go up because of gas prices, and then when gas prices came down, everything stayed up. So we'll see. But what I ended up finding is I found a shop on Etsy, and she had a very good price, and her shipping was a flat rate shipping, that at least what I saw, very good shipping. And she is Quilts by Kitty. And here is her business address, Quilts by Kitty at Gmail, Etsy shop, Quilts by Kitty. If you are in the mood, you're right, Marcia. If you're in the mood, go check her shop out, because I was really impressed, and I got the feeling when I just went and looked at the shop. You know how you can kind of tell? I thought, this woman loves fabric, loves what she does. She's not out to try to take advantage of anyone. She just wants to be able to sell fabric. And her communication was amazing. And let me show you this. So this fabric came in the cutest package. And you notice the tissue paper wrapped around the fabric? You know me, I love my pups. So that everything about this just felt like a hug, you know? And so I got that fabric for $5 a half yard, which was very comparable. And so I ended up getting a yard and a half. So I wasn't a big customer, just a small customer. But look at this sweet. Let me just see. Okay. Look at this sweet note she wrote on there. And, oh, did I show it long enough? I'm sorry. But isn't that great? And she also sent me a note saying, thank you for supporting small business. Yes, I love supporting small business. And she said, I mean, everything is coordinated. I just love that. I love her heart. And then what came with it was a wonderful pen with one of those stylus tips. So if you want to use it for your phone. But isn't that just lovely? I was so tickled when somebody includes a little something unexpected in. I'm like a child at Christmas. So Quilts by Kitty. You can look on Etsy and find her. Check out her fabric. I can tell you, you know how cheap I am. And I mean, I'm on a budget. That's my whole point. I'm at that stage of life. I'm planning for the future. I'm fixed income. I'm ready. So, but she's lovely lady. I we messaged back and forth about 3 times. And I like that. I like that when somebody really loves what they do. Oh, and when I ordered the fabric, I'm trying to think of what day I even ordered it, but she order date March 5th. She mailed it out the same day. Now, I'm not saying she can always do this because no one expects that, but I was surprised. And by Friday, I had it in my hands. I mean, just a couple of days. And Etsy's got a really good new tracking system. Now, I don't know anything about Etsy and politics or anything, but I know that that tracking system was amazing. It was so much fun to see where they send you little reminders. Where is your package today? And it was so exciting. So I just wanted to thank Quilts by Kitty. I told her I pass on good news because you know what? We're all in this together. And when we have a good experience, let's share it. All right. So that was a big joy this week. And I then I in I don't know how, but have you ever noticed how when you talk about a subject, all of a sudden then you find all of these other um, bits of information on the same subject? So, pardon me if I do just a touch of reading because I wrote this a couple of days ago. Well, for me, that might as well have been last year. So it's curious information on turkey red dye. And I'm trying to remember where I even saw. Oh, I think I answer it right here. Okay. I saw an article in an online site, Quilt Daily, written by Jody Butler. She's the book editor. She was reviewing Linda Pumphrey's book, Red and White Quilting. And this information comes from the introduction to the red dye subject by Deborah Roberts, a textile historian. So this is going to be partly from Deborah Roberts, textile historian, part by Jody Butler. Now, I've tried to paraphrase it, so please understand I'm not doing direct quotes. Now, I added that we know that cochineal from bugs was the predominant red dye before turkey red was discovered. In the 1500s, the Spanish discovered the insect discovered the insect-derived dye process in South America. Although cochineal was still being produced in the 60s and put into food and cosmetics, it's still used today in food and drugs. Turkey. So now we're going to go. So that was cochineal, and another thing is it took 10,000 bugs to make a pound of dye. So it was that was a big process. Um, Turkey red. Now we'll talk about. It's the dye which I've talked about lately in my brief explanation to the practice and term Redwork. It started out as a fancy and expensive import from France and Great Britain. It was loved because it didn't run or fade and made a vibrant cherry red cotton fabric. What made it expensive was it required a labor intensive, expensive, and lengthy dye process, which required up to 17 stages, some of which had to be repeated several times. At first, the dye process could last up to 25 days to achieve the red color. The process began in India, then spread to areas near Turkey and Greece, but it was a well-guarded secret. And because a heavy dye region was in Turkey, it got the name Turkey red. In 1747, a French businessman from Rouen, France, convinced dyers from Greece to teach him the secret method. It's a shame, too, because, although good for us, when the secret and complex process got out, then all over, little bits all over in Europe started making the fabric. The fabric wasn't so precious, and so the dyed fabric wasn't as precious now, and so the price fell and the availability soared. Madder was the plant that the chemical alizarin was derived. Mordants are the dye fixatives, and madder required the use of alum, which we still use today, but also they had to soak the yarns numerous times in lye, urine, dung, and animal fat, among others. I think this would have been strenuous and dirty and smelly as an industry. At first, they just dyed the yarns, then used the dyed yarns to weave the fabric. At the turn of the century, 1800, they also learned how to dye whole cloth. So when you realize in just the past couple hundred years, the evolution of fabrics and dyes has been amazing. And you realize no wonder there was such an active market in used clothing because fabric was precious, and especially dyed printed fabric was extra precious. So also you could only make a solid red. Okay. At first, when they did this, they could only use madder and just straight red. Because of the oily process that was used to have the dye actually adhere to the fabric, the oily process prevented other dyes from being absorbed and printed on the fabric. Finally, in 1810, a fabric printer named Daniel Cochelin from France figured out how to bleach areas of the cloth where he wanted to do an overprint. And then he printed blacks and yellows in the bleached areas in a process called discharge printing. So picture that. If you wanted to put little tiny flowers on red fabric, you had to go through and bleach all the areas that you wanted a different color to go. You couldn't bleach a big, it had to be very specific. I just can't imagine that. Quilters in America started buying up the expensive turkey red prints by 1830 as fast as it would arrive, mostly for applique. Red and white quilts became very popular from the 1840s to the 1860s. Then, by 1868, they were able to create a synthetic version of alizarin dye, which lowered the price of red fabric even more and started another beloved fad of red and white quilts. So now you have a little bit more information on turkey red, and we know why it was called turkey red. And here is a very famous antique red and white quilt. So isn't that cool? Isn't that awesome? So I thought you might like that. I happened upon it and started reading it and went, oh, I got to share this. So then I started, reading it and then putting it into my own words. But I want to thank, um, was it Quilting Daily? How nice. I don't know if you can tell, but I've always loved education. my biggest regret was not having finished college. And I've often thought of going back, and it's like, but there's so many things I want to do and this much energy. But I love learning. And so when I find something I find interesting, I'll share it with you. You might find it interesting, maybe not, but I love that we can use this little box right here called a computer, and we can access the world. And so that's wonderful. Okay, so I have been working on my blocks there. I've got these here. I've got to repack my pink tote. Have pink tote will travel. And so I've got that. And I've got a few more things I need to load in it that I'll be working on today. One thing I had hoped to work on this week, but I'm going to have to put it off to till next week. I want to try to make flowers out of fabric. I know that I need skewers to put the fabrics on. And if I have some leftover floral tape, I could just wrap the skewer with floral tape, or I'll just take green paint and paint them. And then I want to make some green leaves and I want to make some flowers. Now, the flowers are going to have to be, I'm going to have to use my fusible because I'm going to have to fuse a bottom and a top to each petal. And I guess I'll cut out the flower hole and then fuse them. I have a bunch of little decorative bottles. Ooh, get that dust off. I need to dust the room. And I have bunches of these little buttons. They would make wonderful centers for the flowers. I also want to experiment with how can I shape them. I do have some fabric stiffener. I maybe might try starch, spraying can starch into a container and using that. But I want to experiment. It's a great time when you make fabric flowers to use some stitches on your sewing machine that you usually don't even think about. So it's also a good time. You could make them totally by hand and you could do embroidery stitches on them. But I thought, how fun to make a little vase of spring flowers. Because I don't know about y'all, but in North Carolina, everything is budding up and starting to bloom. And oh my goodness, I have this bush out here. It's an old fashioned bush that gets little baby's breath kind of flowers all along the stem. It's already starting to bloom. I still have I don't know if you call them hellebores or hellebores. They're still blooming like mad, and now other things are joining it. My star magnolia on the side has been blooming, and my chickens love to eat the petals from star magnolia. They must be sweet. So, anyway, spring is busting out all over, and I thought, hey, let us make some flowers. So if you want to do that, just peek at your fabrics. Then if you, especially if you have two-sided fusible like Steam Seam 2, that's a great way to do it. If not, use glue. And I would probably use like a tacky glue type thing, something that's really going to stick good. And so I think that might be fun for next week. Also, I have 2 rounds of grandchildren. My son was quite, let me see, how much difference? 8 years. My son was 8 years behind my oldest. So she had her children, and then he came along and had his children, and he had them a little later. So I've got a 19-year-old granddaughter, and then I also have a will be 5 years old coming up. And he was born on my father's birthday, which just touches my heart. So he's going to be 5 already. So, gosh, they don't stay little for long at all. So I'm just going to, while I get this packed back up, I'll just show you a little bit of what do I put in my tote. This is very important. She was giving out these free cute pattern cards. I've got all of my tools, my feet, even my walking foot in that bag. I always take a little ruler for any little bit of cutting. I even have a piece of mylar from template making, but I'm going to leave it in there because you just never know what you're going to need. I'm kind of one of those people who would rather have it and not need it than not have it and need it. So, oh, an old tab from my, well, okay. Oh, good. I was wondering if I had this one. And then I packed some just for the main project I know I'll be sewing. I've got rotary cutter with nice sharp blades. Oh, one of my cute little flamingos. I've got masking tape, extra pair of eyeglasses because I would be lost. If my eyeglasses broke, that would be it. I wouldn't be able to do anything. I've got a tabletop needle threader. I've got a miniature flamingo just in case. Is that just too cute or what? Tissues, pencil sharpener, glue bottle, never know. Seam rippers that go in these outer little pouches, scissors, snips. Um, I'm going to check and see, why do I have 3 Altoid pins? Do I really need 3? This is a little kit for cuts with bandages and a little bit of medicine. I have lotion for hands, and I'm not sure why I have these buttons, but I don't need them, so I'll take it out. You know, I've been thinking this time, Deb, you have to pick up and carry. You have to get it out of the car and into. Here is a white pen. I love one of those chalk pens. I mean, pencil, not pen. Huh. Oh, these were my Alaska templates. Don't need them this time. Unless I wanted to sell them. I have to think about that. Okay, and I've got some markers. I've got some dry erase pens. I've got a spoon in case I don't know. But that's a good idea, I think. I've even got these, which tilt your sewing machine. They're door stops. But if my neck gets sore, I might appreciate that. Fingernail file, micron pens over here. Now, why this is in there, I don't know. That I think sometimes, I think what happens sometimes is things fall off the table into here, and I don't realize. A mask in case someone beside me is coughing. Um, ooh, this hasn't been opened. Okay. Some crystal light so that my water isn't always just water. All right. So then I'm going to take some masking tape, put in there. My little pre-wound bobbins, very important pre-wound bobbins. In here, let's see. Business cards. All right. I'll leave those in. And because I always love talking about our site. This one has a few feet and lots of pins. I do need safety pins. And this, not actual Altoids. Surprise. Okay, so I need that. Then here is my pin cushion, and I love this pin cushion. Years and years ago, 15 years ago, I bought these from a show in Pennsylvania, and they're antique bobbins, and I have glued this pin cushion on top. When you go to a retreat, you have, instead of being able to have your machine tucked into a table, unless you take your own special table, this will sit on the desk and it won't get lost in and around of that. And I saw that, Marcia. And then I'm going to take my phone stand because phones get lost in the confusion of a desk. Now, On the ends, I put lots of different threads. Okay, it's good to have black. And then as you see, most of my threads are gray because that is the color that I use the most. And I don't think I need this many. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring that out, put it back on the shelf. I do need a black though. And I do need a white because I am going to sew on something that's very pale. Then what I want to do is I may want to do some thread painting on my landscape quilt. So I'm going to put, let me see what I have room for here. I pulled out a few shades because if I do landscape quilt, I mean thread painting on the landscape quilt, I'm not going to do a ton of it. They're just a couple days, but I did take some just in case. Now I can put one more here. Right? I'll turn this. Oh my goodness gracious. This is ridiculous. I was wondering where all my threads are. Now I know they're in this. Okay, let me pull out things I don't need. This is also a very good thing to do because I am going to take this one invisible thread in case I find areas that I need to stitch down again. All right, let's see. Huh, an ink pen, a regular pen. All right, so I'm going to put back in the invisible thread. That's important. I need to put all these grays back in on the board. I'm going to bring this cream. I think this is a good idea. Sometimes you just have to go through here because I don't know about y'all, but it's a quirky little thing when you hear you're going out of town, you all of a sudden start to panic that you might need something, so you overpack. And it's like, oh, please, Deb. So there, I'm going to be able to have, oh, and I like taking a very ultralight bobbin thread if I'm going to do thread painting. That's important. Okay, so now the last two browns, because I figured if I start, it'll be on. Okay, so this is good. And I have a little bobbin. I need to put that. Try to have little things for whatever you take because honest to goodness, I'm going to take out this white and put in a cream white because I don't often use white. It can be just a little glaring. All right, so now I think this is pretty packed. I think I have everything that I need, and I took out anything too much excess. All right, now, oh, I know what I want to show you. I made this last night because I want to put this on the table when I first get there and let everyone get who's going to take. I think I only have a few students, several students, but I wanted to lay this on the table. Of course, you know me, I give them historical background on Bargello, and then I show some, whoops, this is a Bargello or flame stitch shoe from the late 1700s. And then this one right here is a coin purse. This I think is a pouch, and I'm not sure what these were. But then I gave them information on how we're going to make the Bargello and some of the pictures I used, like how the focus fabric border just did not work. Then I even gave them the picture of what happens even if you use a walking foot when you sew from only one direction. If you wanted to make a letter C, That would be great. But so I made this up. That's going to go to, and I can lay it on the table. And if they walk by and read it, they'll have a little bit of a heads up on the class. Because the hardest thing I find is when you have to learn something new. It's a lot of information coming at you. Not all of it goes to the appropriate folder in your brain. So I thought if they kind of have a little bit of a heads up on what it's about, then I'm putting these thread spools in these little cups I have over here. If you could see this desk, you would say, Deb, you need to clean up. And I would say, yes, as soon as I have time. So, anyway, oh, it's so good to see all of you. Where's the retreat? It's in Denton. And it's the one I take every fall and every spring. I love it because it's affordable. And the rooms are 74 a night. Most people share. And then you just pay for your meals. That is very affordable. So I appreciate that because, if you have to stay in a hotel, if you have to go out to eat, it's very expensive. It's at a wonderful Salvation Army camp. And it was a farm that was left to them. And we just help, we're part of the fundraising, meaning the purpose of the camp is for deserving children to have a chance, a safe chance to learn and play in the summer and have meals. For some of these kids, they might not get the meals that they get there. So that's when they rent this out to scrapbookers and quilters. They use the proceeds to fund their programs. So I'm a big believer in what they do and love that kids have that opportunity to go to someplace safe and fun. And they have swimming pools and they have pedal go-kart tracks and game areas, game tables, and just all kinds of wonderful stuff. So, all right, let's do show and tell, and then I will come back and show you sit and chat, sew and chat. So, okay, everybody, any questions before I go? You know what? You just, oh boy, I wonder if I saved some of y'all's Bargello quilts that y'all did because they were beautiful. Hi, Kathy B. Oh my gosh, how good to see you. How good to see you. Now, if it's something easy for you to do, some of you who did the class with me, or some of you who have done Bargello quilt, send me an email with a picture of it. I would love to show off your work because, especially you ladies who did the class with me in July, your quilts were beautiful. Oh, and I'm not sure, I should have saved them in a special folder and I didn't. So I would love to show them because, oh, and I forgot, this is very important. When I love to do chain piecing. And what happened is years ago, I bought just this part right here and it came with a miniature seam ripper. Okay. And there it fits. And I asked Mark for a square of material, wood, and then I painted it, glued it on. This is wonderful. So when you bring your big long line of kites when you're chain piecing, you have this sitting on the desk, your hands are free, and then you can just choop, choop, and cut apart the chain piecing. So, gotta take that. I brought this from upstairs, because that Ashley Walters bedspread quilt that I'm making has lots of chain piecing in it. So that is going to come in handy. All right, so let's do show and tell, and then we'll come and sit and chat. And I can tell you a little bit more about what I might be taking to the retreat. If you have never gone on a retreat and you're able, I think you might like it. What I would suggest is look around and price them. There are some retreats that go from Friday morning till Sunday morning and cost $800. That's not my idea of a retreat. Mine is this time is for 4 days and it's just over 330. So there's a big price range difference, and check it out because the most famous of the retreats can be very expensive. So in fact, I always said they had this one house on HGTV that they were doing a giveaway, and I thought if I won that house I would set up my own quilt retreat, but I didn't win. So if ever I were able to win something where I had a giant house, I would have quilt retreats and they'd be reasonable. So, okay, let's turn this around and do. Whoops, I keep forgetting to tell Mark that whoa, that I need that facing forward so I can do. Because, like today, the window is so bright. Let me see. Okay. Window is so bright. All right, let's see what we've got. I have not had time to go through the folders of photos, so bear with me while I um, try to find the newest, latest, and greatest. All right, Alberta sent me a new one. Oh, look at this gorgeous quilt. I love it. And like I told her, it is just in time for St. Patty's Day. Isn't that beautiful? Alberta, I just love it. And I love that one is a rogue block. So it said, I'm not playing by the rules everyone else. I'm going to do my own coloration. And I think that is precious. That to me, that shows a sense of humor and some smarts when making a quilt. To have one that stands out. I love that. So thank you, Alberta. That was wonderful to see. Now, let me see. Did I get? We saw Miss Betty's, but these trees are awfully wonderful. And I love that. Just to say, I'm going to do this. And I wonder if she did some spatter painting. That's another way to put snow on something is take a toothbrush and dip it in just a tiny bit of like white paint and then just tap it or run your finger over it. That's a great way. I love that. Thank you. Thank you. And that's Betty Middleton. Then Betty Meisner. She sent us two new ones last week, which I love. I love how graphic this is. I've been looking at a lot of QuiltCon pictures, and let me tell you, they have some amazing, amazing things. And this being so graphic reminds me of that. And I like the idea that behind the heart are random pieced fabrics. That's really cool. I think that's what gives it a lively feel. Way to go. And this fish, oh, I am just amazed. So that will be on an upcoming project. I am going to borrow her idea if she doesn't mind because that is so fantastic. And I also think it's a great way for us to find fabrics and look at them with a new eye of what this fabric could become. what the print in this fabric could relay. So that would be a wonderful exercise. So thank you, Miss Betty Meisner. I tell you what, she's always good with brand new ideas. And this, I think this these photos deserve another round. These are some of Miss BB's different breads she makes. And this looks like an oat nut bread. Like maybe it has pumpkin seeds and oats. Looks really good. This looks so good. I'm thinking those are, yes, they are poppy seeds and not fennel seeds. What is it they put on hamburger buns? You know what I'm. Ah, my brain. And I love this purse with the hand embroidery. I love that tulip zipper pull. Oh, and I love this. I love those braids. There's something that just draws you in with those braids. So she's very, very talented. I love the Woman's Day photos she put on the site. They were wonderful. Tribute to women. This is Women's Month. I told Mark you can always tell what segment of society has been downtrodden because they give them a month and that's supposed to make up for it. And I love this tray of homemade bread toast. And I will never forget those videos of the dervishes. They are just amazing and just so poetic and inspiring. They just amazing. Oh, so thank you for sharing that bit of heritage. We love learning. And I love Miss BB is very generous with sharing those kind of wonderful things with us. Anyone that wants to open up my world, I appreciate that. So here, oh, this is so cute. This is Hattie. This is Bonnie's chicken that she has decorated for Easter. So she definitely looks like she's ready to go downtown. And I love the way the little prairie fold or the shark's tooth fold has an opening so it looks like she's got expression. Isn't that cute? That is the cutest thing, Miss Bonnie. And the earrings, too good, too good. I love this. That is so true. Everything I save squirreled away, I have plans for. So, and then I can't wait to see what her Redwork dragons are going to come out. Look at this now. This is 9 9 weeks worth of black work. Just red work, but this is with black. And let me tell you, this whole piece is like 3.5 inches. So that is amazing. I'm in awe, Miss Bonnie. I'm in awe. Okay. And what was this? What's oh, these are things she's working on, I would think. Okay. So thank you, Miss Bonnie. Those are wonderful. Whoops, I'm trying to go back. Let me try this again. All right. Ooh, the medicine that I'm taking for the tremor is working really good. I forgot to take it today, but it is working good. Miss Charlene Lawson sent me these wonderful pictures. These are blocks she's working on. Does anyone remember what this technique is called? This is where you go to a floral fabric and you cut out the actual design. Then you put it on top of a background fabric and you stitch it down. You can stitch it down with the blanket stitch. You can do hand needle turn applique, or you can do a raw edge applique with a zigzag. And this is called broderie purse. Has nothing to do with a pocketbook. It means Persian embroidery. Broderie purse, Persian embroidery. So I know Miss BB would appreciate that. But isn't that beautiful? Now let's see what. Oh, look at these blocks. In fact, is Charlene the one? Yes, Charlene is doing the Edita Sitar laundry basket birthday block of the month, block of the week, pardon me, block of the week. So look at this, and her fabric choice is extraordinary. Way to go, Miss Charlene. I love that. I have been saving the blocks each week because they're free on the website. They come out every Tuesday. I've been saving the blocks because at some point I hope to make that. Then look at this table runner with the log cabin blocks. That is beautiful. And since there's so much red in here, the centers, she did a red print, but it's like a khaki with the red. I love that. And look at what you can do. This pattern was made by turning the blocks. So you've got a block right here. Here's one block right there. Then here is another block, stops right there, comes down across here. Depending on which way you turn them, you can get so many patterns out of the log cabin block. There is one of the blocks. It's actually here to there. I love that. Half is dark or one color, half is another color. In fact, you know what that reminds me, Charlene? Reminds me of Jenny Byer. Jenny Byer first started quilting when she lived in India. And so she used those dark, rich colors that were amazing. I got a new, oh, I got to show you. Did I show you? I hope I didn't show you these already. There was the most amazing sunset. And I tried to take a picture of the sunset the other day at a regular distance, but it washed the colors out. When I zoomed in, it preserved the gorgeous colors. And actually, I should say a variation of them. The colors were turquoise and pink orange, and it was gorgeous. So I went ahead and had him take a picture of the lake because I would like to one day do a picture of the lake and with that sunset. And I wanted to be able to know how to do the reflections in the lake when I do that sunset. So he gratefully, thank goodness he um here is that weeping cherry that I have that I was trying to figure out how to represent. So, but there it is. And I wish it could have captured the turquoise and the pink orange. It was so vivid. But isn't that lovely? I just sometimes I just feel so lucky to live in such a beautiful place. You know, that's one of the things is we are very lucky. We all have beauty in our lives. Um, and thank goodness there's going to be a pier for supplies, but people around the world are suffering, and I'm glad for any help that we can give. Here's my little lamp post that I put in my landscape. This is where the weeping cherry is right there. So I am now so happy to have that. So I want to thank you. I got to show my daughter's loaf of bread while we showed other loaves. She is now really into her sourdough bread. And I just think that's the prettiest thing I've ever seen. I wouldn't know where to begin. That is so beautiful. So I know that she cut the loaf when it was rising across here, but I'm not sure how she did those hearts. And this, of course, is flour. She must have dusted it with flour before she cut it. And oh my gosh, that's a work of art. And then I have a brand new, thanks to Veron, their maternal grandmother sent me this wonderful photo of those two beautiful boys. I said, "Oh my goodness, they're growing up so quickly, but aren't they beautiful?" And Russell, soon to be 5 years old. What a big boy. And that's my Donnie. I love those boys. All right, now, so that's it for Deb. And Debbie Hodges, I I preserved this photo because we're in the process of doing a red work to celebrate spring. And this was a snowy winter, beautiful red work. I love those pictures. I love this wonderful star. The fact that it's done scrappy makes the stars twinkle, and I love that. And I forgot to look this up, but it's something like a monkey wrench. I'm pretty sure. I think it's because these are put on point that they look different. And I love this. This is so beautiful. I've always wanted to make a quilt using toile. So that is beautiful. Love these stars. In fact, Alex Anderson one time said stars were her favorite quilt pattern. And I tend to agree with her. Okay, Miss Denise sent some amazing photographs. I love this wall hanging here, and she has embellished it with beads and things. I love that. And I've got to find out how she did these little red flowers. Were they on fabric or did she do a kind of embroidering technique? Beautiful. I have a feeling she embroidered those on. You know what? That just made me think of it. I have some silk thread and I used to do a little embroidery with, pardon me, silk ribbon. So maybe I'll have to look into my ribbons because I've got flower pots to fill on my landscape. Let me see if I can bring this up. I love this. This is her painting of koi on wood, a wood panel. And I think this is exquisite. Very talented, talented lady. Love that. You can almost just see them swimming. It's so pretty. Okay. Thank you, Miss Denise. Now we're going to go to Jody. I can't wait to see this quilt progress. Okay. Well, I might confuse you a little bit. This is her new quilt she's working on right now. She is combined everything, reproduction Civil War, right up to current trendy fabrics, and she's doing a wonderful scrappy quilt. But first, here is her husband Terry's quilt that she made for him. I think it's beautiful. The colors really does remind me of an Amish quilt. Here is her latest project. Now you also see right here that Wicked Witch of the West. And oh, that is what I think that well, she loves all kinds of quilting, as don't we all, but she has a special talent when it comes to portrait. But look at this. Isn't that exciting? I think that it just has those colors are so great. I think it's going to have a wonderful look. All right, let's see where we're going now. Oh, I forgot. She sent these. So this is how she's doing it. She's having to do curve quilting. She's making a block that's 1/4 of the final circle. I love it. So she can get these very scrappy. Her work is beautiful. Way to go with the curved sewing. I see that's where I have a hard time. I can't keep all that stuff straight. But she's right smart lady. Here is Miss Joni's. And when she heard we were talking about English paper piecing and tessellations, she volunteered these wonderful examples. This would be a probably a English paper piecing, and it's also a tessellation, which means one shape fills up all the space. They turn them and place them, and it fills up all the space with just that one shape. Here's a close up. I love the hand quilting. Look at this. This is one of the kaleidoscope quilts, but honest to goodness, it's so good and so many different designs that almost reminds me of millefore, which means thousands of flowers. But isn't that beautiful? Beautiful. And here is a view of it close up. Beautiful sewing, beautiful matching. Wow. My quilts don't look that good close up. Just the way it is, just speaking the truth. Okay, so now Miss Mary and Mark went out for a walk in a local park. Isn't that beautiful? I love the stone bridge. Isn't that lovely? I'm so glad they get out and do wonderful things like that. So good to move and enjoy the view. It's real easy to be inspired when the view's that pretty. Now, I thought I had another. Hold on. Then, yeah, here it is. She is also working on the English paper piecing. So here are her 3 blocks. And the thing I love about this is it allows you to do such complex methods so much easier. So way to go, Miss Mary. Okay. And then she made a crocheted. Now, this is only her second crocheting piece that she ever made. She crocheted blocks and then put them back together. That is just amazing. I've never thought of doing that, and I've been piddling around with crochet for years and years. So way to go, Miss Mary. She's going to donate this to a hospital. Hopefully, some young man will get that. Okay, what is it? Marsha Hahn. Oh, I hope, yeah. Yeah, I did show this last week because look at that coyote. That's a picture out back of her house, and goodness gracious. And then look at this beautiful work that she's doing. And it's not from a pattern. She just started spontaneously, Maisie, spontaneously working on this. I've got a Maisie story for y'all. I'll have to tell you in a minute. But isn't that beautiful? Look at all the handwork she's doing. This is part of what made me think of maybe we can make some flowers because it's just lovely. Well, my heart is always soft on hollyhocks, and this is gorgeous. And that hummingbird is wonderful. So look at all this. She's got daylilies, she's got poppies, sunflower, fritillary butterflies. I love it. Oh, this to me makes me think of Carolina Wren. And look at that nest with the eggs in it. So I can't wait to see her further progress on this. Way to go, Marsha. That's beautiful, Marsha Hahn. Okay, now, Miss Melanie. I've got a hot off the press picture from Miss Melanie of the cutest dog you could ever imagine. And she is now considered a full grown little young lady. But is that the cutest? They say she keeps them laughing all the time. She's got the life though. Let's maybe in my next life I could go to Melanie's. And here is a photo of her outside. Look at all that hair. I bet you she drags in some leaves. We know she drags in snow because it gloms onto her. But she is the happiest, prettiest thing. All right, I think, was that? I was thinking if there was another picture, but that probably is it, and it's absolutely cute. All right, now let's go to. It was so nice seeing Linda McCormick McConnell. I'm sorry. I have my brain. It's not you, Linda. It's me. Trust me. Okay. Then Nicole, this will be our last view at Nicole's wonderful landscape. I'm so glad she popped in to show us that she was inspired by something we did, and I just love it. And it looks like um she took maybe ink tints and put a ladder on this hayloft. I love that. So way to go, Nicole. I just think that's wonderful. Patricia Fry, she has been a busy lady. She wanted to show us some of her um Bargello strips, and you notice the blue tape. She's got them well marked. It's really important, or you will not be able to remember. Don't forget, if you're part of our group, I love her red and white table setting. Was there something else? Well, I'll just show you one more time. The scary flamingo suit. Can you imagine me trying to get Mark to wear that? No, never happened. But if you're wanting to work on a Bargello quilt, I've got all the handouts we used. I also, if you're a subscribed member of our group, I've got the actual recorded classrooms for when we did it, from when we did it. So let me know, and I'll be glad to get you in touch with the right information. I want to show you Miss Polly's wonderful, wonderful weaving. Isn't this beautiful? Oh my gosh. I just love it. And then here is a close up. I honestly, I've always thought, oh, I'd love to weave, but I can't imagine doing intricate work like that. But it is gorgeous, Miss Polly. Beautiful, beautiful work. Mm. So maybe one day I'll sneak over to Miss Polly's house and have her show me how it's done. All right, we got some new pictures from Miss SJ. Always glad to see things from her. This is I guess is it a placemat now? I forgot what she told me it was. But maybe it's a dog mat that she sits the bowl at food and water bowl on. But isn't that precious? Love it. Here's the back of it. I love pieced backs. To me, that just takes such creativity. It's like use up all the scraps with the backing. Wonderful. And then look, she took a regular TV tray, decided she wanted to have a portable ironing board, and she covered it with batting and this wonderful canvas fabric. And what a smart idea. And then when you're not using it, you can fold it up and it's just a little over an inch wide and you can easily put it out of the way. I'm loving this table she's got back here with the coordinated cloth baskets. I said, I think we'd love to have a sewing tour. So we'll see, but I love those. All right, now we're going to go to, thank you so much for sending in photos. Ladies, we love them. The last one is Miss Joso, and look at this. I want to bring it bigger so you can see it. And this is just a 5 or 6 inch block with you put a square in each opposite corner, and then look at the wonderful design that comes because of it. Isn't that wonderful? Now, I would assume that these aren't one piece. If they are, please give her a round of applause because that's the dreaded Y seam. But if you just put a square on each corner, then it would look like a Y seam, but be much easier to do. Although I've kind of gotten used to Y seams with the English paper piecing. I love, love her rag rug using beautiful fabrics. Love that. And she buttoned down her. You have to use a big table to hand baste a quilt. And then I love the houses one. And I love, love this water waterfront landscape. Okay, I think that is it for today. And thank you to everyone who sends photos because you make our show and tell possible. And we're, whoa, careful how I just grabbed that camera, but you make our show and tell possible. And we thank you very much. I always get inspired. Soon as I do show and tell, it's like, oh, I gotta go sew. I told Mark, does it seem odd that I miss my sewing machine if I haven't sewn on it for a couple of days? And he said, no, it doesn't seem odd. He said it'd be like any hobby, but I love sewing. I love my machine. I just do. All righty. So what we're going to do now is I'm just going to sit and work on this and chat with you. And I'll show you real quick. This one was a little this English paper piecing block was a little more complicated. And I'm new to English paper piecing. So I looked at these ends, and this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pieces for this triangle. And I thought, oh, how do I make this work? And I had to make sure, yes, it lines up here. One thing that bothered me is it doesn't line up perfectly. You would think that whatever design here would go from here to here, but it doesn't. And that's okay, because once it's together, it doesn't really show that much. So here, can you imagine before I had done the other um, two pieces. Now, do I have a needle here? I may have to. I was trying to decide. This is what I was telling you. The sew line glue stick, it tends to come apart at times. But then I think, yeah, but when it does come time to take the papers out, then it will be much easier than if I had glued it within an inch of its life. Let me see. I need to find a needle. This is good though, because then I can show you. I'm going to end up using this small needle because what I want to do is use a very fine, sharp needle. So let me show you the difference. This would be a more normal needle right here, but the finer the needle, the easier it is to stitch through. So the only thing that's a little tricky is is threading the needle, but let's see if I can do it. Okay. I remember when I was younger and I worked at the museum and I had a volunteer sewing group, and the ladies would say, "How do you thread that needle so easily?" And I remember thinking, how odd it must be not to be able to see good enough to thread the needle. And now, guess what? I know exactly what they meant. So then I take the thread before I knot it. This beeswax picks up threads, but I take this beeswax before I knot it, run it across. You're working on the same one right now. Oh, that is so cool. Oh, and if anybody has left, I love you. Sorry. Sesame seeds. Marsha, thank you. Lisa, thank you. Charlene, thank you. Oh, sometimes. But I've been better this time. I think sleeping till afternoon kind of helped me. Okay, so now I've knotted my thread. And you know what I've learned to do, and I've told you this before, but if you can get yourself in the habit of always knotting a thread, the moment you cut the thread off, reknot it for the next time. You will thank yourself, because the worst thing is to get everything right in place and then go, oh, I didn't knot it. Then you have to put everything back down, knot it. So I had a wonderful quilter teach me that some years ago. Deb, just do it. Knot it every time the moment you're done. Oh my goodness. Oh, that was okay. I thought that was a needle. And I thought, boy, is that bent, but it wasn't. It was some little piece of stick or something. All right. So, what I have to do is I have to sew two more of these. So, let me show you how I do it. The first thing is I pick out, and you notice how I left the ends longer now so that when they get in the corner, oh, that is, you know what? Oh, Mona and Mary. Oh my gosh, it's so good to see you. Okay, so what I do is this is going to be the edge of the quilt. This is going to be, I mean, the block right there. So I take and I line, I'm supposed to line three of these up. Then I get three oranges and I line, whoops, stay still. I line 3 oranges up, okay? Then I take the other color yellow and I come and set those right here. And it gets a little tricky because the ends run long and it tends to bump everything, but that's okay. Then I come in with another orange right here, and then I get one more of this shade of yellow. I start out with the darker, busier yellow, and I finish up here. So once I lay that like that, wherever I'm working, then I've got my thread waxed. I'm ready to go. I take these the way they were laying down and just flip them over. Now, one thing I found is leaving these ends to run long, you've got to figure out where the paper is behind them. Let me get in a little closer. You've got to figure out where the paper is in here so that you can line this up correctly. That is a little trickier when you're doing these kind of shapes. It's real easy when you have a full smooth edge, but then when you've got both of these funky little things, when I feel like I've gotten them lined up, the end of the paper in this point and this, then I come in with one of these little wonder clips, which I love. Come in, and then let me make sure I stay in camera. Then I come in here where I've got all this fabric. I get as close. This fabric I'll trim off later, but I get as close into the real block, real piece like this to plant my knot. Okay, so now my knot is in that little fold right there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come across the top. And you remember I told you I drop it down just a hair to make it a little easier. Don't drop it down too much or else you'll see your stitches. But I come back to that corner and I give 3 stitches at that corner, because that is going to be every place you stop and start is an area that it gets put under stress. So 3 stitches, then I start moving along. Now, I am left-handed, so I hope it doesn't confuse you too much. If I were to sit this way, it wouldn't look odd, but I want to get right under the camera here, and you pick up. I try to pick up more than just 1 or 2 threads. I want this to be sturdy. So I pick up some there, then I come across here, pick up a good little chunk there, and then pull it. Now you pull it snug, but not too tight. You don't want to warp it or make it so that you can't flatten it back out. So I just come right here and just stitch. Then when I get to the other end, I'll do 3 locking stitches, then tie off a knot. Some people just will bring this stitch through the loop instead of actually tying a knot, but sometimes I do both, but I always tie a knot just to make sure. We just you don't realize that if that knot isn't there or gets cut off or something, the piece will start to come apart. Now my stitches are probably a wee bit close. They probably don't have to be that close, but I want to know that, and I keep right there at that edge. I don't want my stitches to show once I open this up. And when I told you about I offset them just barely, I don't know why, but it makes it so much easier. But see, that's hardly anything. And it doesn't, if you make it offset too much, you will see stitches. But this, I mean, how much easier. Now, see, by using, it doesn't matter that I've got a smaller needle. It does matter that it goes through the fabric so much easier. You do not want to sew into your paper template. And I love using cardstock if you ever can. It is wonderful because um, It's so easy to work with. Now, you know what you could do. Let's say you don't have cardstock. Lately, especially with the um, elections, I have been getting so many postcard weight junk mail, and those would be great to make your templates. So you don't have to go out and buy something. Just look through and see what's heavy enough in your junk mail, recycle it, and I think that's a win for everyone. So now I'm getting down to the end. So, and make sure that you're sewing not just in this little fluff at the end, but that you're sewing right here into the real edge of that piece. And I do, there's my second stitch at the end. Here's my third stitch at the end. And sometimes if I have another piece that I've already sewn on, I'll link the intersections. I reinforce those intersections anytime I can. And then so far as to tie a knot, I just, do the around and under, and I do it at least twice to make sure, and I make sure to pull it right tight down. If your knot's too far away from that intersection, it's not going to be very effective. So then I open it up and then I push it back the other way. See? If you just opened it, it would still want to kind of close. But when you fold it back the other way, then there you go. And you can barely see any stitches. If you go like that, you'll see a couple. But so I absolutely adore this. Now, when I get ready to sew my next one, now this one, since I've already shown you, we can just sit and talk. And but I just wanted to show you how do I join my next one. And I told you about knotting that thread, and I had to make sure to do it. Okay, so if I get confused at all, I go back and put it in place, then pick up my next one so that I can see right where to put it. And maybe this looks silly thinking, Deb, do you really have to be that careful? But I hate taking something apart. So if I have to take a little bit more time, but I do want to show you this. Now I have three pieces coming together at one intersection. One, two, three. What I do is I'll come in, tuck it under here, to tuck my knot away. By tucking my knot in a safe place, I help ensure that it'll never get cut off. All right, so now I have my knot under this orange piece. Now I'm going to go under this fold, but into the serious part of this piece. Now, technically, I don't have to do that, but I like doing it because then now I come into the, let me see, oops, I might have to shove that down a little bit. Okay. Now I come into the real, where the paper is, the real piece of the third piece. So now, this does happen, sadly, is that the thread will get caught up around things. That's the only downside to this, but you know what? That's a minor inconvenience. All right, so now I'm going to put my pin in place. I've got my intersection. They're all connected to each other. Now I come back and I do my three small stitches here. One, two, and I do pull this pretty snug because that's all three pieces. So I do my third stitch right here. Now I'm free to run on. But that'll show you by doing that, I know that I have a very secure intersection right there. Okay? It is a great feeling when they line up. It's like, oh, I am learning how to do this. Mary and I are both doing this for the first time, and it's like, whoa. But I love hand sewing. And you know how I always make fun of myself and say, Well, I said I would, I had this list of things I would never do because you can probably tell. I usually feel pretty strongly about things. And I'm not just a person who goes through life wishy washy. I sometimes wish I were more that way, but I want to make sure to turn so I can see what you're saying. And okay. So now I can sew and talk chat with you. So feel free to ask questions, whatever you want. But I went, as I was growing up, so to speak, meaning 30s and 40s, I was deciding what things with sewing I would do or not do. And the things that I used to say, I was never going to hand sew. Never, never. No, I would never. And then I said I would never, ever, never do applique. And then I said, okay, and I will never do hexagons, which meant I would never do English paper piecing. We even had a woman show up at our guild that I was the president of to show us how to do English paper piecing. And I didn't even pay attention. I was polite, but I just didn't pay attention because I thought, I don't need to learn that. I'm never going to do that. And let me see. So I was never going to do hexagons. It's just so funny because all of the things that I said I would never do are now something I dearly love. Now, I will tell you though, the one thing that I know I'm going to stick to is I will never make a sunbonnet Sue. But otherwise, that's about it. So I have gone back on all my list of never happen, will never. And I think, that's why I shouldn't make these hard and fast rules because um, when you make a hard and fast rule, you might have just cut yourself out of something that you would absolutely love or maybe were meant to do. How would you know? Everything should be open to try. It's like when my kids were little, I would tell them it's really important that you try different foods because if you don't, how will you ever know? You could be missing. Maybe tomatoes really are your favorite food or mushrooms. I know it, Mary. I'm right there with you. I get so excited about working on this. And since I've gone to smaller, sharper needles, I haven't been running the back of the needle in my finger. But see, I've got this little place, and that is a callus from all the hand sewing I do. And inside that callus is a little hole that if I'm not careful, but that's where, if you're having problems like that, try a smaller, thinner, sharper needle. And remember, hand needles get dull just like sewing machine needles. Not as quickly, but they do. And I'm sorry, but you can afford a new needle. That is part of the cost. Now I'm at the end. I'm going to feel for the paper. Yep, I'm at the very end. I'll put one more stitch. And then here is one way you can knot it by you pull it until you've got that little loop, then run your thread through there. But then so maybe I'll just make one knot now since I did that. But I always put a knot in it because, I worked hard to do that. I'm going to put another one in. I didn't get it to go all the way down to the end. And unless you can get that knot to seat down there, you haven't done much. All right. Now, right now, before I do anything else, let me put a knot in this. This is the best thing best single piece of advice I think I ever got. All right, so here I've sewn this together. So I open it up, go past, crease, and there we go. Isn't that easy? And I'm doing it while talking to y'all. Oh, yeah, it's the dreaded finger hole. That is so true. Oh, so y'all are so dear. So, and tell me what's going on with y'all. Anything new going on? Here's the next piece. Put it here, lean it back. So, what are y'all planning? What's your weather like where you are? That's the only thing I miss is I don't get to know what's going on with you. I'm so lucky. I thought I was making a funny joke, and then when I told Mark the joke I said to Miss Mary, he said, "Oh, Deb, that was not a good joke." And so I got sick to my stomach thinking I had done something that would have hurt Mary. I was not my intention. And I wrote her an apology and I was so happy when she wrote back and we were still friends. It's like I don't want to lose my Miss Mary. So just, I forget that people, when you write an email, people can't see your face or your body language. And they might not realize that, that you're teasing or joking or how it was said. But I'm just happy as a clam because I'm always so, I try to be very positive with all of you. There's always so much you can find in someone's work that you love. But be careful when you tell them their fabric or their yarn choices maybe were butt ugly. And I just was meant to be silly. I'm sorry. It was late. I was being silly. But if I ever say anything to hurt any of your feelings, please let me know. I will definitely make it right. Because I think the world of all of you. And sometimes I just blurt something out. And, oh my goodness. But what else is going on? Mona. Yeah, Mona's here. And this block, in fact, that's a good thing to tell you. This block, oh, and I have a free pattern for y'all. Yes, I have a free pattern for y'all. Let me type it in. Let me type it. Let me see if, oh boy, I hate typing, www dot. Let me see if I can go find it real quick, highlight it, and then, yeah, this is much easier. All right, so I have a free pattern for you, and I think it's really pretty. So, anytime I can find y'all a free pattern, I love doing it. Oh, come on. Copy hyperlink. Let me see if this worked. I wish I had taken my tremor medicine. Hmm. Paste. Yay. It's gonna work, everybody. So check that pattern out. I think you might like it. And I showed it to my granddaughter who loves butterflies. And she was like, "Ooh, that's beautiful." So I hope you all will enjoy it. Right now, I just feel this strong need to just sit and sew all day long. I don't want to clean the house. I don't want to cook dinner. I don't want to do anything but just create. I'm in one of those. You're right. We do have a Mona and a Lisa. That is so cute. Marsha, brilliant. Brilliant. Marsha's got a sharp wit. I love that. Isn't it gorgeous? Because we all love our Bargellos. And then to add the butterflies, that's icing on the cake. And when I was organizing my fabric to put away the other week, I found a print that had some really accurate looking or really complex looking butterflies. And I thought, ha, I've got the butterflies. And you know me, I've got the stash. So I think I will be working on that. Oh, one more thing I wanted to tell y'all is I want to do another class in July. And last year we did the Bargello. So help me be thinking of what you would love to learn to do. It'll be a 1 week long class. I will have, if you can't make it, I will have written information. And most likely it's a pattern I will either find for free or one that I designed myself so that you don't have to invest a lot of money. But I would like to do a class mid-July when it's too hot to go outside. And so be thinking about what skill or pattern you would like to learn. Oh, and before we go, I want to show you. Hold on. All right, I'm putting my knot in here. Do you see how fast this goes? This is what I love about English paper piecing. People keep saying one of their things they love best is the portability of it. Now, here's a good teaching moment. Do you see this little loop that accidentally got stuck when I was doing a stitch? One of the earlier stitches I didn't pull all the way through. And so it left a vulnerable area. Well, I could try to loosen up all the stitches and figure out which one it was. What I did is when I was doing this knot, I just caught that loop in my knot. And now it's nice and sturdy and I didn't have to take out stitches. I'm always doing little easy shortcuts for something because I'm lazy. I don't want to have to take out stitches if I don't have to. And so I just do things like that. I go, if I just capture that loop, then it can't go anywhere. It's all good. All right, so I've got my knot there. And then let me take this, bend it the other way, give it a little crease, and there I go. So isn't that the easiest thing you've ever seen? There is something else I wanted to show you. Um, we had our last um, art quilting Thursday night on the home landscape. Doesn't mean it's the last time you'll see it. Just means it's the last time that it is the subject of that night. And so here is what I had gotten done so far. I'm taking it with me to work on using the outlining micron pens and markers. And that's why I'm taking some of the threads because I'm going to start doing some just careful thread sketching. And so I wanted to show you that. But I've got the bag packed. I've got the bag packed with everything that I need to work on this. That's one thing too I'm very careful about is when I pack things, I put everything I need for, and like I'll pick a tote and everything I need for that project goes in that bag with it. Very careful because when you go to a retreat or a new sewing space, it can be overwhelming. People talking, people going, walking past, and it's not your home. So it's not set up the same. And so I like that. I pick a bag. I say, I want to work on this today. I pull the bag over. I have everything I need right there. So in that bag, I've got the ink tints, I've got the textile medium. Everything is right there, and I like that. All right, I think we've kind of come to an end of today, and I will definitely take pictures of the show and tell at the retreat because we love our show and tells. I'm taking my ouch. I stuck my finger, but I do that so much. Okay. But I'm taking my Alaska quilt, which I call Twilight Lagoon. I'm taking that, and I can't wait. I'm hoping I'm going to get at least one or two oohs and ahs. So, because you know what? That feels good. I worked hard for that. That does feel good. All right. So this is going to go back in its tote. Keep everything right there together. And is there anything else I have to show you? But, oh, I'll give you an example. Hold on just a second. Let me move over. All right. So I had been carrying around this plastic zipper bag for a while. Sheet sets and stuff had come in this. So here are the fabrics I need to do the English paper piecing block. So I went ahead and put the the mini tote bag that has all of my supplies in here. Oh, oh, this is something I can show you right here. Yay! What did I do with that one marker that I put in here? I don't think this will still work. The thing that I love the most to put my needles in, it's Collins makes them, and they're the wooden needle holders. Let me tell you why I love these. I love these because um, they help keep your needles sharp and in good shape because they breathe and they allow your needles to also breathe. So I bought some Golden Eye applique needles recently, and I probably from Amazon. And let me get my glasses on here. Okay, here we go. It's hard to figure out how to open the package sometimes. All right, here we go. So remember I was telling you about thin, sharp needles. So I got, and these are sharps, and these are Golden Eye. I'm writing on Golden Eye just means that the eye of the needle was dipped in a golden color. It just helps make threading the needle a little easier. So I'm writing Golden Eye applique. Now I'm writing this right on the wood, and these are size 10, appliques 10. And I put number. Okay, so I've written here Golden Eyes applique 10, and I'm going to go ahead and put Clover down as the manufacturer. And that's important to know because if they don't live up to your expectations, you'll know what brand not to buy. Okay, this was an Identapen. It did a pretty good job too. All right, whoops, when I get this, I want to make sure nothing is sitting up so high that it's going to fall out. So then I don't know why this lid, the only problem about this one, it's probably why I hadn't used it yet, is the lid is a little too tight. So you know what you do in that case? Let me see. You get a little fingernail file, and you just get a little filing to the top of this case. I love fingernail files. I use fingernail files for just about everything. Most of the time I can't grow long nails, so at least I have something to use them for. But you just go around and file that. Now, let me see. It's still a little tight. So, and you know, once this is put in a case, I use those little desiccant packs that we get in so many things. I use them in all of my sewing totes and bags. And I use them where I store my floss. I use them everywhere because they really do work to help keep from moisture damage or rust or whatever. And there, now that was great. So I did enough sanding. Okay. Now, I'm going to take the needles out and put them in the wooden holder. And this way, when I get there, I know exactly. These needle holders used to be so cheap. They're not quite as cheap. I put my tongue around that base just to make sure. I was a little bit worried I might have sanded it too much. So by putting a little bit of moisture on it, I know now it's going to hold well. So then I put it in my case with this. I was going to show you something, and maybe y'all can tell me what you think. This is the case that the needle sticks, the glue sticks came in. And I've got two of them now. And when I look at this stuff, I think, I hate to waste this. I'm wondering, would it be worth washing these out to get the glue out, any remaining residual? And then you could use these as needle cases. You'd probably have to put a stick-on label for that, but that might be something. You're using these as, yeah, and pink? Great. Oh, that's a neat idea, Mary. Oh my gosh, y'all are so good. Okay, so these, I'm just going to wash them. These will be new needle holders because I like having all my needles in something. Okay, now if you put the needles in that, you could drop a few little pieces of desiccant. Open up carefully a pack, but be careful if you have animals around. Don't let them get to it, or small children. Use a tube similar for leaves in your purse. That's a great idea. I love having everything in a container. So, I jumped on the Altoids tins right away, but now I find these other things like crystal light containers are great for storing crochet needles in and all kinds of things. You remove the original label and scotch tape the leave label. That was brilliant because you labeled it so everybody knew what it was. Well, that's super. Well, thank you for joining me today. I know it was a slightly different kind of show. I have been really busy trying to get out, keep all the balls in the air, and I'm not a good juggler, but I've been trying. So thank you so much. Remember, this Thursday night, we're taking a break from Art Quilt Thursday. Then the next week, we are going to start our watercolor. Marsha Hahn is the one that asked about that. And I said, great idea. So be looking for your florals. In fact, I've got jam fabrics that's coming to the retreat. I'll have to check for some florals there. Florals with backgrounds, like white florals with white backgrounds, so they can be part of the fence or the gate. Florals with blue backgrounds, so they can be part of the sky. So there's just, there's so many different ways to look at it. So thank you for joining me. I hope that you do something special just for you this week. If it warms up where you are, take a little walk or just go sit out on the porch and breathe in that early spring air. And because it's coming. And you know what? Spring is my favorite time of the year because once June and July hit, I'm like, too hot. I can't deal with this. So enjoy it while we have it. Take care, everyone. You're the best. Thank you for everything, for spending this time with me. Bye bye, everybody. I'll see you next Sunday. Bye bye. Y'all are the best.